Anyway, hate to be a little drum, but I just, I've been watching a couple of news articles this weekend and last night, and the country's really getting crazier and crazier. So, and I'm saying the same thing in hopes to get people's attention, because we need to have a united middle class. A united and healthy middle class creates a strong America. And you have to listen to who wants that to happen and has ways of making it happen. And then we need to vote people in and vote people out according to their strengths or weaknesses. And it's going to take some time to do, to get finally a handle over our political system, because we have no handle over this. And the founding fathers gave us this, we owe it to them. They weren't perfect people, and they were elites, but they at least saw that this country, the middle class of this country needs to run the important issues directed by our politicians. And just like you have a head of a company and you have the crew of a company, if that's not going right in a company, one or the other, that company goes out, right? Well, this country is much, obviously a whole different scenario, but it matches a bit, because we're on the way to communism right now, or socialism, and there's just no getting around that fact that either we come together and we pull together and we look out for our neighbors and we talk to each other and we do those things that our founding fathers gave us the freedom to do, and or we don't have a society anymore. Anyway, we're going to start getting this down. I'm still working on some lighting. Barbie's moving to California, so she's going to be producer Barbie remote. But I think we might be able to get her on camera this way. So with all of that said, you guys have a great weekend. Say hi to each other. Go out and say hi to somebody. Just wave at them, man. Start that way. Just wave at them. Every time you see them, wave at them. You don't know them. And then you'll see the reaction change, evolve. You'll see the body language evolve. Go out and say hi to a couple people today. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for being here.
What's up? Hey guys, how you doing? Guys and gals, ladies, gentlemen, however, all you folks, everybody out there, how you doing? Well, the one of you that's here so far, there was two, but they popped off. They were like, oh God, here he is again. Go away. So today is a really cool day. As you guys know, I ran or built up a machinery business over 30 years. And oh, wow. Okay. So a few more people are coming in. We got 15 here. I will go quickly. And by the way, Eric, one thing I forgot to mention, can you lay down a little bit of journey that led you to the path where you are, your business and all that? So on that point, yesterday we talked about mental health, very emotional day. Both me and the guest, we held it together, but there were some times, mental illness, addiction, things that too many of us have too much experience with, including me. Part of the reason the show's here. Oh, I don't know what's in the air today, but what I was saying is you guys know, I ran a machinery business. We out in Chicago, not too far from you in Pennsylvania, there, my friend. But actually, I should point up here because my camera's here and your picture's down there. So I'm talking to you, Eric. Well, I actually have a bunch of equipment in Pennsylvania from some of my ADS, some of the pipe people out there. So I've been around the business that Erik is running and has run since 1990. Yeah, right. 1990. Whatever. He'll tell you. You know how I am. I'm really glad you're all here. Wow, 121 people. Okay, Erik, I got a really slow jump on this. So you're gonna have to make it look professional, because that's not my job. I try to be, and I fail at it constantly, and it works. So you're the professional one. He's been in business, like I was saying, for a bunch of years. No, he's been in business for 40 years and runs a very successful electrician supply company. In other words, electrical contractors, right? You know how we talk about the middle class, man. We are the engine, we are the backbone of the industrial as well as the financial side of our nation. Just as all working class people of civilized nations, there are a lot of uncivilized nations right now, but of civilized nations, it's us that build. You know, I like to say, like in that opening, like in a business, you have a leader, a visionary. You have an Erik, and that's guiding the direction. But you have that engine. You have the workers. You have the middle class, the folks. Well, we're all middle class, but you know what I mean. Small business, all of that comes together to create a healthy middle class. And when we have a healthy middle class, we have a very strong America. And you know, that opening, that's still, I've got to change that intro because, well, one, it's a little outdated. Although the facts are still the true, I heard the news this weekend and it's still a little wacky out there. There's some really weird stuff going on, and that's not today's story. But in there we talked about how there's Eriks, and then the folks that push his vision forward by doing the support, by being the backbone of what makes their company strong and growing and sustained for 40 years now. I was going to refer back to 30 on something I saw earlier, but I'll just let that go. 242 people, Erik. You are setting stupid records here, brother. And I want to introduce my next newest, bestest friend in all the world from the East Coast and in the manufacturing heart. I mean, that whole corridor, you know, Midwest, that East Coast, Upper East Coast area is just, you know, it's where production happens. Why don't you go back and tell us a little bit about some people go all the way back to birth, but that's up to you. But put us on the journey. Tell us the journey that put you on what you are doing now and why we're here talking about entrepreneurship and finance. You know, the business side of world. Very important because we're just making ourselves better here. Erik, help us out, brother. Tell us how you got here.
Okay, well, I got here because I was invited by Rodd, so thank you very much for inviting me. Absolutely. And the way that I became an entrepreneur and wound up being a contractor was really, I don't know, I guess what's the words they say, hook or crook, so to speak.
You were a journeyman first, right?
I was a journeyman. Right? That is correct. I was a journeyman. I went through an apprenticeship. I was a journeyman. Yep. I went through electrical engineering undergraduate. So I've been a few places. But I can tell you.
You know your stuff. You know your stuff.
Oh, yes, definitely. I've been journeyman, I've been superintendent, I've been foreman, and, you know, now I have my own business. But what I will say is really fortunate for me, or I feel blessed, because when I was a little kid, the telephone repairman, or I used to always be intrigued by the guy up on the pole.
Okay.
And, when I got through grade school and all that, I kind of did good in math and science. And during that time, they were like, oh, you got to go to school to be an engineer. You got to go to college. Even if you're not an engineer, you got to go to college. And I went out on the job, and I really didn't like it. And as time went on, I decided that I wanted to pursue my dream. I didn't necessarily know it was my dream, but I just kept going back to man, that guy climbing up on that pole and fixing those telephone or electric wires or whatever he was fixing. Now I know what it is. 40 years later, I know exactly what he was fixing.
Yep. That is a cool look, isn't it, man? I love those dudes.
So
cool.
what I would say, so the fact that I've been able to do this for 40 years is because I enjoy what I'm doing. So if you really get a chance, even if you work for someone else, which, you know, that's up to you. We've all done it. You definitely got to pursue what you love at one point or another. So I'm the best of both worlds because, you know, I love helping people and helping the middle class and doing my own thing and, you know, supporting my family. And also, I don't climb up and down poles anymore. I'm a little old for that. I do climb on roofs, but I had a few years.
Wait. On roofs? So where are you?
I mean, from time to time, you have to go look.
Something's got to go up there. I got
you. Yeah, you got to take a look to see the wires. You got to make sure it's safe. You know, of course. Yeah. You know, of course, I have staff now, but you know, every once in a while, you like to get your hands dirty.
100%. Yes. So how often, so, okay. So it's been, you've been in the industry for 40 years.
Right.
Your business started in, I missed
1991. 1991 is when I got my license. I still was working for someone else.
I got 1919 stuck in my head, and I knew that wasn't right, and I knew the answer, and I just couldn't come up. So 1991, you got your license.
Correct. My contractor's license.
Right.
I became a journeyman that we talked about after completing an apprenticeship in 1993.
Right.
My business, like I said, started in 1991, but it was part-time, little small stuff, you know, getting my feet wet, trying to learn because I went and got my license. So I used it. But my primary source of income was working for other people. The second year that the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl, which is, I can tell you why I remember that. That was like 1998. And I had an injury. I was in the hospital for a while. I had brain surgery and it didn't go so well. So I wound up being in the hospital for a while. And when I came back, two things. Job didn't have anything for me. And my daughter, who's 43 now, was getting ready to go to college.
Oh.
But I had a license. License. So I always was like, I don't know about the little girls who jump rope, double dutch or whatever. They had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, keep pushing their head back and forth and then jump in. So I was 1 foot in and 1 foot out from 91 till 98. But once that happened, put my head in and started jumping rope. So, you know, the one thing I'll say, I learned a whole lot from, you know, where I had the apprenticeship and some of the contractors that I work for. So I have no ill feelings, but they actually did me a favor by not necessarily kicking me out, but not having any work for me because they forced me to do what I needed to do to raise my family. And I haven't looked back since then.
That's kind of I hear that story a lot. That kind of story, you know, your motivation comes from many different things, right? Or lack of motivation, either one. However, what way you want to go with this. And also, I had the same thing. I mean, I started my business because I was working for somebody else. I was a VP of sales for this company. And I got a fax at my home office as I was getting ready to head out to Christmas vacation with my family, my wife and a couple of little kids. I had to go back in, run back in the house. Car's all packed. We're ready to go, heading out. And a fax come across, says, call the office. And they shut it down, had let myself and several other people go. that's how I went into Christmas vacation. Not near as dramatic as yours, but it's funny how those stories, how insane situations, like what the hell, WTF, what am I going to do? You come off of your situation, and your daughter's going to college, and we all know what that costs. That's an insane situation, man, right?
Yes. Yes, but
So,
the one thing I will say is, human nature and human initiative and all that stuff, we can do wonders. And, you don't want to be forced to,
always.
but when we're forced to, not many people fail or they figure out a way to get it done.
Correct. It's funny. It's funny you said that, because no, we don't ever want to, but have it be forced on us. But not, as I was thinking about that, and I've never really thought about this way to what you're saying. Good insight, by the way. It's imagine how many people haven't had that, but have it inside of them, but have never had to, be forced to have that come out. I wonder how many people have I bet you it's a large percentage.
I'm sure it's a very large.
You know where I'm going, right? Yeah. You know
I'm sure it's a very large percentage.
Never thought about that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe in the fact that people can do wonderful things, and it would be nice if it wasn't, like you said, the situation of being forced to, but they can. I mean, the old saying, chivalry is not dead. I mean, you take it a step further and say, people are not dead. They can do wonderful things.
Absolutely. Yeah, you see it, and you see it all the time. And I guess it's kind of why people do things like this, because you've heard the story. We only use like 10% of our brains, let's say.
Yeah.
There's all these little sprinklings around of what we're talking about right now. But what I really am getting, what I really hope for is that things like this and the new economies, and we'll get into that in a little bit, because I'm really curious your thoughts on business moving ahead. AI is right around the corner. I don't want to make this an AI discussion, but one of the points, I mean, we can if you want, but we do a lot in that. We do a lot in finance, mental health. We have 4 lanes. We talked about this earlier, but hold on. All right. I cough. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Live gets a little funky sometimes. So, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I think the more people listen to your kind of story, and what you're saying right now is people have so much more abilities. They're so much more capable, so much more able. And I don't think, it's funny how much people don't know they don't know. And then when they are forced, all of a sudden they know, because you got a baby staring at you, Right. Or whatever that case. In your case, you're a beautiful girl, right?
Right.
So we have 362 people on, brother.
Wow.
And we got a couple of questions coming in. Roy Drink. I'm going to put this one up. You read this. Would you read that for me?
All right. Let me put my old people glasses on.
I never take mine off.
Amazing story, Erik. So inspiring. Thank you.
I agree totally. So let's travel a little bit further here. So you've been since 1998, 1990. I'm all messed up on your date now. Am I right?
Yeah, 1998 is when I was forced to go full time.
So you went full time, scared as shit, going out hammering and drumming up business. You're the salesman as well now at this point. You're more salesman than you're an electrician at this point, true. Going out the door, right?
That is 100% true.
So what did the first 2 years look like? Let's say 2 years. Let's hover on 2 years for a second. Then we got a couple questions. I'm gonna pull into the end of that conversation. 2 years. What did that first 2 years look like for you? First 2 months and then the first 2 years. What did that look like to you?
The first 2 months looked like very bone dry because it was a rude awakening. Two things. I felt what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily betrayed, but I just felt like, wow, what am I going to do? But,
Right.
So that was maybe about a month. And then the second month, I started putting it together. The one good thing I will say is as an electrician, I made good money. So I had some money saved, I only had one child and my wife, and we had money saved. So we weathered the storm, and the first 2 years were good for sure. But the first 2 months were probably a little tough.
So you guys
So
had
that's why
saved
I
up
said
some
I have
money.
no ill feelings from where I came from because I had the money to set up things. You know what I mean? So when I say I had the money to weather the storm of getting into having more customers and stuff because I had money saved up. That's the one thing you do learn in construction or in contracting as a contractor and also as a journeyman. 12 months a year is not necessarily guaranteed. So therefore you learn how to save money when you have to.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And thank God for that. I mean, in somebody else's background, because the trades are way different than everything else, because weather and, there's a lot of things that, like you said, it's more or less seasonal, but it's really up and down day by day, especially like
Yes.
roofers. Like if it's
Yes.
raining, you ain't working, right?
Mhm.
Or if it's snowing, you ain't working, right? Well, you're from Pennsylvania, I'm from Chicago. Well, California and Chicago. Well, all over the world, but the last two places I lived were in California and Chicago. California, you're pretty dialed in. You're okay, pretty much. Maybe this or that. Chicago, I mean, there in Pennsylvania, you got all sorts of weather to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah, so you got to work with that. High winds and everything. Now, electrician's a little better because you're more often inside than out, but still, you got to plan on this stuff. I'm going to shout out Bradley Pomp here. I don't know what the hell he's saying. And Bradley, I know I made you a promise every time you show up, I'll shout out your name, Bradley Pomp. How you doing, brother? But
how are you,
also
Bradley?
got it. But Bradley, come on, you got to give me something here. What is this? Heart? Well, I don't know. Do you know what is that an electric color?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It looks like a exclamation point with a heart on top of it or something.
Exactly. That's what I thought it was. I'm loving it, but Bradley, wait. You just throw something behind it. Follow up on it. What's the biggest lesson you've learned as a master electrician? Let's come back to that first. Hold on, because I want to go over the first couple of ones. First couple of questions here, because you've kind of already answered that in your opening, and that has a tendency to happen. So just as a reminder, Roy said, "Hey, amazing story, Derek, so inspiring," and I gotta go with that. Roy also followed up with Erik. What inspired you to become an entrepreneur in the trades? It was that moment, wasn't it? Or did you always kind of have a dream of doing that? Deep down, you're working for somebody else, but were you baked that way? Like in your background?
I had a dream of being an entrepreneur. That's why,
there you go.
If I got my license, my contractor's license in 1991, I was still an apprentice. I didn't finish my apprenticeship until 93. So I always knew that I was going to part-time, whatever. I didn't know that I was going to go full-time. I didn't know that I was going to, have extended hospital stay right before my daughter goes to school. But, it is what it is, man. Like I said, I have a full belief in people do what they have to do, especially when it comes to your family and your friends and bettering your community.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So you had that interest of being an entrepreneur, and did it start back that story when you were in grade school when you saw why is that guy up at It was kind of like then. It's
Definitely,
like,
definitely.
I want to, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Glad we went back over that.
I was the kid who cut the grass, who shoveled the snow, who I was actually a paper boy for a number of years. You know, all of those things. I worked in the gas station when I lied to them and kept stalling on my birth certificate because I wasn't old enough for working papers, but I had a little hair on my face. I don't now, but I did pretty young, and I used it to my advantage.
I did that in a donut shop when I was growing up. I did this. I did the same because you're around Greece, you know, you have to be like 18, and I worked the midnight shift, then went to school, you know, so man, dude, I love this. I love this. That mindset, and not everybody, and that's not bad if somebody doesn't have that mindset, but it's so exciting because somebody asked me in one of the questions, we do these every day. We have a show every day. This is my gig. I wound down my machinery business a couple of years ago and then started this. And September 17th was our first live show. And we've done 360 of them now, I think. I think we're at I think you're bringing us into 360. So, and it's something I've always dreamed and loved of doing. And, you know, started just getting tired of the other stuff. This is the fun stuff. I used to love to market it and sell it, but I had to deal with electricians and engineers and, you know, contractors. And it was like, oh God, I want to play video games all day.
That's something to do. It's so funny you mentioned that. I still have, I don't know if you remember, I know this is off on a tangent, but in my basement of my house, I still have the Centipede, and I play it every day.
Do you really?
Yeah. I mean, got an empty nest.
This show, yeah, exactly right. This show is my Centipede, man. I play it every day. Every day. I just love it. You know, I send out social media. You know, my advertising now, I think I started doing this because I was realizing I was spending too much time on social media and video games. So I said, I got to make money doing that. Now that was late in life.
That's
so
smart.
yeah,
that
right. Yeah. I think I'm going to extend I'll slow down a little bit more that hairline that keeps going back there. You know, living a little less stress-free life. So Ryan Prime, excuse me, I'm sorry. How do you overcome challenges when first starting your business? Now, you had the right mindset of being in the trades because you knew the ups and downs. So you and your wife, you're knowing the highs and lows of financial, of money coming in, of the money stream. So you did some saving. Some people don't. Actually, a lot of people probably don't. I think that's more changing now. I think our generation taught the younger generation by them watching us struggle at doing things. And I think they're starting things a little bit later and working their way through it differently, getting married later, getting themselves established. And because, I mean, it's impossible to buy a home now. I mean, the cost of everything. So
yes.
Your daughter and my son's generation, they're about the same age. I think they're a couple of years younger. I assume you have grandchildren now, right?
I don't have grandchildren.
Tell your daughter to get her ass on the go.
Yeah, we don't have grandchildren. So I just shook my head. I said, well, you know, I don't put no pressure on anyone like you see on all those sitcoms. Hey, where are my grandchildren? I don't do that.
I had never done that until I started getting grandchildren, and I'm like, what the hell? This is the best. This is better than you guys. Way better than you guys.
I've heard that from many.
It's a different world. And you know what's weird is I raised all boys. I raised 5 boys. Okay.
It was
a lot of testosterone. Yes. I became a pretty good carpenter because their asses would be going through the wall as they're wrestling or whatever. So there was a lot of that. But now I'm getting all grand girls. They're all having girls. And that's, first of all, grandchildren are awesome. You know this. I never realized how freaking awesome are girls. I mean, they wrap you around their finger.
I've
and you
never
just
said
can't.
no to her. Never said
Exactly.
no. I might give her a long speech, but I've never said no.
100%. And it's way different than guys, man. I always thought I love my relationship with my boys, my men now, my boys. But one of them I chewed out. I said, "Why didn't you tell me girls were so freaking good?" I mean, the grand girl babies are just the best. I've got one that's 16. High school sweethearts. The second son, high school sweethearts. And then I told you about them starting later. My first son and everybody else, they're just now have like my oldest son, her second year at her, and he's 40-ish, 41. So they're starting later in life now. I was fortunate that the high school sweetheart thing kind of broke the chain. But again, going off on a tangent here, what were some of the things that you had to overcome as you were building this business? Especially in the start. Now, honestly, there's multiple challenges. I don't know where you are dollar wise, but $100,000 a year business is like a lifestyle business, right? Mm-hmm. A mom and pop ish kind of, and maybe even $1 million a year is kind of a mom and pop ish, you, your spouse, maybe another person kind of thing. You get to 5, you've got an established small, 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, a couple of office people, a couple of workers. Then you get to 12. And now that's another next level. Then 30, those levels change how the company is, how it has to operate differently at 5, let's say 30, 12, exactly, each level. So at each one, you have different challenges. We're on our way to 30. And then it was like, okay, this is not where I want to. It was cool when it was me and my spouse yelling back and forth. Hey, what are these numbers? What are these numbers? And that was cool. That was a lot of fun. And then a couple of people, still kind of pretty cool because, you're a family within the family. You get to 5 and it's like, oh, fuck, I got to be a real business now. You get to 12, same thing, right? So what were some of those challenges along the way? Help some people out because there's obviously a lot of people in here that have that mindset.
The biggest challenge is, like you said, you have to make the decision every step along the way. Like you just said, when you just start out and it's not about the money, it's about the lifestyle. It should never be about the money totally, because in that case, you will not be around 40 years. You might not even be around 5 years because you'll burn out on the money at some point. So you got to really enjoy what you're doing. But the biggest challenge for me was to realize that once I got 2 employees, really, I was like, I'm no longer just electrician. As a matter of fact, that's not my primary position now. My primary position is to go out there and get work for us, or else the door's closed.
Yeah. I mean, that they're not going to. And if they did, they don't know your vision yet either. You're the only one that can sell you the best that you can sell you.
Right. So that's one of them. That's definitely a big one. You have to realize that you have to make the transition into realizing what's important for your business. Now, I love, like I said, climbing up and down and changing receptacles and doing big services and wearing the big high voltage gloves and turning the power off in this great big building and working on it. But if I'm doing that, we're only doing one job at a time. And if we got 5 people, we can't make money doing one job at a time. So I had to stop doing that. So, I mean, whatever your business is, you got to realize you got to work the age-old axiom. on the business rather than in the business.
Way to go. I love that. That's beautiful. I can't add to that. You're just a beautiful man. You're just beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for allowing me to come here and share some of these things, because, we need to let more people know about what we do as far as 100%. Entrepreneurs.
And we're going to really dig into this a little bit more. We've got 8, 10, something like that questions. I'm behind. Are you okay on time?
I'm fine. I'm fine on time. Fine on time. I actually shut it down for today, really for a couple more days. Just sort of getting off a little bit. I'm turning 60.
Oh, you're younger than me. Okay, so you had your kids sooner than I did.
12th grade.
You were young.
Yes.
What'd you say? What grade?
12.
Okay. So you're like my second son. They were high school sweethearts. Going into college, they got married. 1 year later, they had a kid. Mm-hmm. So I don't even think either of them were 20 yet. 19, 18, something like that. 18, I think. I had my first at 24. Okay, that clears some things up.
All right. So I've set aside definitely today and tomorrow where I am free, so we can go as long as we need to go.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been told that people, you get past an hour, I shouldn't be doing that, but rarely do we ever go an hour. It's rare. We've gone 2.5 hours. We've gone, a couple of times. So one time, 2 hours and 45 minutes, almost 3 hours. That was a dude. It was an AI thing, and we had 5,500 people on the show. 5,500 blew my mind. Well, it's a subject. AI is a big deal, and I told you I want to get into that a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it not only right now, but from now on. I mean, the world is changing. Oh, yes. You're old enough. You remember when the internet came in, right?
Yes.
Dial up, big phones, up to here, and pay phones and all that. You and I all know that. Yes. The next generation, our kids have all seen that. They're the bridge. Nobody else ever will see any of that again.
Never.
Ever. Right. And now AI is moving so fast. Like we do a class, we have to update our content constantly because, this changes, right? The industrial revolution, it took decades or generations, a couple of generations to evolve. You agree with that?
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
And those things are what the human experiences has experienced. So now the Jetsons are here. You remember the cartoon?
Yes.
Right? Remember the flying?
George.
The restaurant.
Hey, George. That crazy thing.
Exactly. Well, they're here, and they knew what was going on, and we're on the cusp right there, and it's never going to be there. It's never going to be the same again. Our kids are the only ones who have ever seen. And granted, there was a point where nobody ever saw a car before. But those things took generations. Now it's taken months. It's taken days. Things are like rapid fire. We'll get back to that. What's the biggest lesson you've learned? We just went over that. That was Bradley's follow-up. That was Bradley actually asking a question after he was messing with us with the heart and asterisk. So Jack Davey, do you think young people are showing more interest in trades now? I know the answer to this, and I'm almost positive you do too.
Yeah. So I got like a 2-part answer to that, if that's okay.
100%.
All right. So the short answer is yes. Young people are definitely showing more interest in the trades 100%. Now. I don't know if through AI or through before AI, Google, they found out that guy that I used to look at, wow, he's got grease on his hands. He's got boots and dirt on him. He's making a lot of money. I didn't know that.
There it is, right there. You just said it. They're making minimum $22, $25, $30. $30 an hour, right?
That's
Ish.
right. And the other part is, so people say under about 45 or 50 or 60, up to the young people, they did not do that. So therefore, we have sort of a disconnect. We have people 45, 50, 60, maybe even 65. And then we have people 25, 24, 23, 22. We got a middle ground that we are missing that we really need to find again. But yes, the short answer is 100%. The young people are definitely interested in trades. I haven't tried to figure out why. I'm just glad that they are, because that means, you know, when I leave here, whether I retire or I move on, you know, it'll still be electricians out here, which is what I want.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it'll be anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, they won't have some AI program that replaces us with robots.
little baby electricians running around, right? Your little nest. Well, yeah, I actually did a study on this because the plastics industry, which is the equipment that I built for foods, chemicals, you know, the plastics industry, kind of a big industry, you know, everything around you is made of plastic. I mean, everything, right? Everywhere you go. So that gap is, so you go from our age, in my industry at least, same thing. I'm almost positive. You go from my age, and then you drop all the way down into the 20s and 30s. And in between there is what you're talking about. There's not much there because the first part, they all headed out to computer industry, computer sciences, blah, 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 all that. Everybody was headed there. And then in the last 10 years, 15 years, there's really been that shift back the other way because people started to realize say it again, what you said about the hands, but.
Oh, yeah. You got the hands, you got the dirty hands, you got the grease, you got the dirt on yourself, and you're on the bus or whatever. And they're like, look at him. And then they said, wait a minute. He's making $30 an hour. I'm making 12. Wait a minute. Maybe I need to look at that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that you're right. It's coming back now. I think now's a good time before we get into the next couple of questions that's still in the area. You made a comment that now I have to ask this question. People ask me every day in the other shows, meaning the AI and automation and Bitcoin, you know, and this falls in that same thing because it's about there's the Jetsons are here, and then there's finance, and there's a lot of all of that evolving. So, you said, I don't think they're ready to make a robot that's going to come into your house and start doing the you know, that kind of stuff. But it is going to affect your industry, right? I mean, there is maybe on the manufacturing side. Oh, you're an electrician. I saw a lot of extrusion systems with cabling and overcoat. You know, so I who knows? You probably used some of my customers' stuff, but there is a change in like a plant that's making wire and cable. 40 extruders across 100,000 square foot building, several hundred employees over 3 shifts, making wire for you and all your cohorts. That company already now, automation is kind of moving in. It's not AI, it's AO, automated operations, where they're refilling supply lines, and they're a lot of that maintenance, not necessarily in your specific business, but in business, a lot of the back office stuff is starting to really. And if it's already starting now, you can imagine 10 years from now what the difference in that will look like. But AO is probably bigger than AI. It's further along. meaning automated operations. And when I say that, not just back office, but specifically maintenance programs, operations schedules, all that's really being changed. Do you agree with that? Where do you think the
Yeah,
effects
I
could
agree
come
with
from?
that, but I will say, as far as the technical part of being an electrician, I just always feel somebody's got to be able to fix all that stuff. I don't think it can self-fix. I mean, and somebody's got to be there to manage the inconsistencies. So that's where I come in, or the older person comes in, to make sure that that younger person who's interested gets that part too. You always got to
I
be able to
think
fix things. You can't just, you know,
that's where the jobs are going right there. You just said it. Programming all this AI and fixing. There's going to be way more wires than have ever been, right? I mean,
yes.
it's all about wires now, right? I mean, I look at my studio here, and it's all about that. And you got to repair that. Stuff happens. Programming goes wrong. So I mean, you're probably going to be one of the leading industries in
Oh
the
yeah,
world as it evolves.
especially as they get rid of the fossil fuel and things like that, and the coal and things like that. They already got rid of the coal. I know they're trying to bring it back, but as they
Clean
go
coal.
more into
Clean
clean
coal.
and green and saving the planet, helping the people, and going with profit, as we get more into that, it's going to be more and more electric. And I really look at an electrician really having to know and being capable of learning and doing a lot. And that's that the knowledge is going to keep you above and beyond the AO and the AI. So you need to know that, but you also need to know the hands-on stuff too, so that you will always be in demand.
You got both. You will always be in demand,
Right.
especially moving forward into because I've come to learn, because I've never really thought about it until people started asking on this show.
Mhm.
And we talk about also. I do this show because I know a whole bunch about a little bit of stuff, and then I know a little bit more, kind of a pretty good knowledge of a whole lot of things. So we were able to get into these different lanes, and as people ask questions, you learn more and more and more, because you're doing your own research, but also you're listening to other people. And I've never thought about what AI is going to do to work, to industry, but work for us. What about us? I also think that it's going to be interesting, because as things become more and more efficient in our lives, like AI and automation, as this stuff goes ahead and it becomes more and more efficient, I really see the cost of living, the cost of goods and services coming down, meaning that there's less waste in all of that, because of the way things are set up. And then what we know today about everything we're talking about, 20 years from now, at least, not more than that, maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, will look completely different than it does right now. So when I say the cost of living is going to come down, and I really believe there's going to be a point where there should be nobody that ever is below the poverty line. That's another subject. But I believe that there is a point coming forward where our lives in the great middle class, especially if we utilize AI and automation, but our lives in the great middle class are going to become better and better and better. We still got to take care of our politicians, a bunch of crooked bastards out there, like a whole bunch of them, like almost every one of them, basically. They don't necessarily come in that way, but they come in for a purpose, and they get trained through the system, is how I like to put it. And it ruins.
Yeah. I remember a politician that I knew pretty well, and he got in trouble. And I asked him about it, and he said, I just got to tell you, young man, I was pretty young then. I still think of myself as young now, but
You look young. You're looking good, brother. You look good.
Thank you. He said, power breeds corruption. And
And
I
here's
didn't
the thing.
understand what he meant then, but about 10 years later, I figured it out when he was
Yeah.
getting out. It's
He got
unfortunate,
caught.
but
Well, and it's even worse than that in my belief, because power breeds corruption, 100%. But then you have on top of that layer, you're either in or out, because that party over there, they're all corrupt, and you either better join in, like it'd be like a crooked cop, right? And your partner isn't crooked, you're crooked. Well, you got to get your crooked. I'm not saying it's a bad example, but you know what I mean by that.
I know what you mean. Yes.
So now it's the entire House of Representatives and or the Senate or whatever. You gotta fall in line, guy, or I'm gonna start spreading get you out of here, kind of thing. It's
tough. That's tough. I mean,
it's really bad. Need to clean
I have
house,
a hard time
man.
calling them, a spade, so to speak, only because I wouldn't want that job at all. I mean, it's got to be a lot to it, because like you said, they don't come in like that. So there's got to be a reason why things turn. And the one thing that I remember is that one conversation where the man told me power breeds corruption.
and it does. Well, remember this. I like to say this. So the first societies or governments were created 3 millennia ago. The two of them, go and blank on their name. City. So they've had thousands and thousands and thousands of years of perfecting how to be corrupt. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that basically most governments, they set up the school system, they set up everything, and then you depend on them. Like you said, power then breeds corruption. Well, all of a sudden now it's like, whoa, this is my gig. I tell these people what to do, and they pay me money to do that. And then I decide how to spend it. That's power. And then they've had thousands of years to perfect that system. Now our founders threw in a curve in there, and they gave us a couple of extra rights that other countries don't have. And it's created this impossible dream that we don't even take care of. We can vote all our people out like in a heartbeat, but we don't. And the reason is we listen to our media. We the brain doesn't like to think too much because it's uncomfortable. And then so we just keep repeating, vote all the way down one party line or another, and then it just all rinse and repeat. So we got to clean house if we're ever going to be able to have that happen. Meaning what you just said, they don't come in that way. So why is it happening? It's because it's the system. It's the system, and they're all in it. Look at how many years is, I don't know, Adam Schiff been in there? 40 years or something?
It's crazy. You shouldn't.
It's crazy.
I mean, it should be a limit on, because if nothing else, give someone else a chance. And that doesn't mean you're not doing a great job or whatever, which, I won't even say whether I feel he was or not. But somebody else should have a chance.
100%. I think you just said what you weren't going to say, but you know what? Here's the thing: we have that. We don't need term limits. Those are lazy. And are they ever going to vote yes on term limits?
Out and do our research and vote.
We have to do ours. I like to call it a watch party, because producer Barbie, who you heard me mention it in the earlier. When she moved out to California, one of the elections were coming up, and her son, her daughter-in-law, and several other friends sat down on a Saturday, had a dinner, a lunch or a little get together, and they went over each thing, who it was, what it is, and then instead of just voting, okay, I'm going to vote. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because we don't pay attention to any of the propositions or any of that. Well, anyway, they spent, I don't know, an hour over lunch, had a great time, had a few drinks. They're older, had a few drinks. And this was in California. And so they had a watch party. And like 30% of the people there changed their entire minds about the whole party and all, because all they did is they asked each other questions, and then they talked about the proposition. Well, okay, they read it, and somebody said, okay, what do you think of that? Oh yeah, well, that sounds really cool. Well, do you know that's going to cost $14 billion from tax money, and this is what it's going to achieve? No, I didn't. Oh, well, I don't want that. Fuck, it's not that cool. So go informed, just watch parties. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject. Roy Drink here, he came back to you, and you got to read this one again. This is your read. Please, sir.
Big respect for Erik sharing his journey. Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, thanks, Roy. I appreciate that. Now Bradley Pomp came back on. Great video. Oh, no, this is you again. Wow, everybody's talking to you. Do I need to leave the room? Leave the room?
Thanks for bringing this guest on. Well, thank you, Bradley. I'm glad you enjoyed. Try to please.
Okay, now I'm gonna chew my vibe here, my tribe, my peeps. Look at guys. You used to always tell me how cool I was about this thing. You're not even mentioning me. Come on, man. Anyway, yeah, people are loving what you're saying here, guy. Dirk Hube, what advice would you give someone just starting in skilled trades? That's good. That's now he's not asking about a business, right? Dirk is talking about entering a trade, whichever one. Let's talk about electrician. But I mean, at the entry point, whether you're a plumber, a master plumber, electrician, or you work with cutting steel, that part's all the same. Of course, the skill sets are vary, but that's a good question. I think it is.
What I would tell them to do is do their best to get in an apprenticeship, because in an apprenticeship, you know,
Yes.
we've hired different people, and people who have a certification where they went to a school for 18 months or 2 years or whatever. You know, they have book knowledge and all that, but an apprenticeship gives you the full spectrum. They give you on-the-job training, and they give you classroom training. And you usually work around people who have also went through an apprenticeship, and therefore they know what you've been through, and they also have been doing it for a long time. Not necessarily, I wouldn't say the right way as opposed to the wrong way, but they know exactly what you're going through and what you need, because they've already been through it and they've already become a journeyman, and they're going to lead you through that. You know, a lot of people can get a certification because they take an 18-month class or a 2-year class or a 9-month class that says they know what they're doing. But my experience has been they really don't, unless you learn on the job, but you also have to learn the book part. So the best place is to, if you can, get in an apprenticeship.
So when you say that, sorry, I was in the middle of checking my timing.
No problem.
When you say that, you're talking about the union, right? You're talking about union.
They have union, they have
contract.
non-union, but union apprenticeship.
Whoa, wait.
Right.
Apprenticeship is always union, right? Or no? You might.
No,
I may be wrong.
Correct. Apprenticeship is state certified. They have union, they have non-union apprenticeship, but you know, they still, with state certification, they still have to complete a certain amount of on-the-job training as well as classroom study in order to get that certification as a journeyman. Like, you know, when someone gets a certificate saying they completed a trade school, they get a certificate saying they completed a trade school. But when they get a journeyman's license, that means they went through a joint apprentice training committee in whatever state it is, and they have completed X amount of hours. You know, I would assume that the union is probably
so you're not
the union, from what I know, I mean, from what I could see, they're pretty much the same. Now, who you work with may be different, but as far as if you can't become a journeyman without completing that, whether it's union or non-union. They do have union trade schools, probably more, and they do have non-union trade schools as well.
Are they very similar? Well,
I would assume they're similar. They have to pass a certain curriculum. I went through a union trade school, so I don't know what the non-union trade school is, but I've had some employees who have been through a non-union trade school, and they seem to be the same.
Interesting.
I mean, it's just like
I said that's interesting because there's certain areas that you have to be union, and I've always, and it's more expensive, as far as the job goes. But I've always understood the value level is different. But you're saying it sounds like they're very similar as long as they both go, whether it's union or non-union, go through that process. And that's where the important part is.
If they go through apprenticeship, I would say they're similar because it has to be state certified in order to become a journeyman. If they don't go through an apprenticeship, you don't really know what you're getting. That's where the interview, when I interview somebody or when we vet somebody, that's when that becomes more in play. If they went through an apprenticeship and they have a journeyman's ticket, then there's a certain standard that they qualify to know how to do. In most cases, it's union, but it's not in all cases.
Yeah, like you said, you've got to have the book and the experience smarts.
Yep.
All of that together, and you've got to be around other people. Like you said, experience is important. On the job training is a big part of it. But if you've got that solid foundation, that base, that makes you another level, right? 100%. Another level of what you're supplying. Maria here, Pereza, what's the most rewarding part of your entrepreneurial journey? I love the way I'm actually not having to work that hard on the question. Sometimes they're like banging all over the place, but it's kind of lining up pretty good. Now, in this case, they're talking about the entrepreneurial side, the businessman side of you. What's been the most rewarding thing for you?
Well, two things.
In that journey.
Two things. One thing is, to a certain degree, I can look in the mirror and kind of determine what I'm going to do or not do. So when I say that, I remember one time my dentist was working on my teeth. I was actually getting a root canal, very painful. And I asked him about that same question. And it holds true to me. What he said was, the good thing about having your own business is you choose who you want to do business with. You don't have to accept every customer. Like if I'm, I was a superintendent, I was a foreman, I was a journeyman. They send me somewhere, I got to do it. That's my job. The other thing I will say is the glass ceiling's not hitting my head anymore.
Good point. Good point. They can't. I mean, you're running the show, and to add to that, I would say that you have the ability to redesign or affect that glass ceiling, because then you're taking away stereotypical, however you want to say that. You're proving. I mean, 40 years in business. You're doing what most businesses collapse in the first year. If not, by the fifth year, more than half companies are gone. I mean, not even staying around and keeping that size, but gone. So the glass ceiling gets addressed every time entrepreneurs and people of talent and skill, no matter what, where they come from, who they are, their melatonin, their religion, whatever. All those things are forced down certain, not everybody's throat, but some people have it forced down their throat where it's like, okay, all right, I got to get with it. There's no more glass ceiling, because one, well, I don't know. I was going to try and say something funny there. I have no idea what I was going to. But for one, that's what this country needs, because the next generation then becomes a little bit better. And hopefully the pendulum doesn't go back and forth like this anymore. It just needs to stay right in here.
I
And
agree with that.
with guys like you and guys like us and ladies like them and those, then we've got a real shot at never having this conversation again, never having that glass ceiling be it. It's the human experience. It's not those humans' experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this here is your most rewarding part of your entrepreneurial journey. And then Joe, I think that's a typo. Shepherd, how do you stay updated? There's two really good questions here as we start to wind down a minute. I love this question. It kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier, but not really. How do you stay updated with changes in the electrical technology?
Okay, so there's a couple things that I do. The first thing is I'm a member of Electrical Association of Philadelphia. And what that is that's electricians. We get together once a month and we go over things like that. And also that in Philadelphia and in certain parts of Pennsylvania and in New Jersey and Delaware, each year we have to complete a certain amount of credit hours in order to keep your license and show proof. So we can't just keep taking the same course every year. We have to keep up with modern technology, or else your license will not be renewed. You just can't pay the money, and that's it.
Right. And that's a good thing. And that's what keeps societies around for hundreds of years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, good building specs, good source, energy sourcing specs, your plumbing, your electric, all those things. And then you go to countries where they're not necessarily at that same level, and it's a whole different thing. So I'm real proud of the system that's been built over probably 100 years.
Easy.
Of what you just said. And the fact that we did it like right in the beginning, now it's gone, like you said, easily 100 years. Now it's gone to a point where, okay, those mistakes are no longer existing.
Right.
That's huge. All right. Now I don't get, I think I might have skipped one. I think I did. Hold on. Okay. Leah, Film Law, she's become a real fan of the show. I only know it because her name, Film Law, and I love film. So, Erik, what advice would you give young electricians today?
Oh, so we talked about.
Wait, Erik. I know we did a little bit, but this is for people. Not just entering, but if you notice the wording, I'm taking it this way. I'm able to expand it a little bit. Young electricians, let's say people who've been somewhere between, like, around a journeyman area, kind of in that area. Let's call it that. Just young electricians, not just entering, and not talking about entrepreneurs, but the people you're hiring now. What do you look at them and say? That 20-something-year-old, what are you telling them, and what are your thoughts are that should be told to them? And then kind of wrap it. I think we're pretty good. Unless we missed anything, we're at about an hour and 10 minutes. We got 364 people on still.
Wow.
And yeah, you got a big fan club, brother. And
good to know.
Brother from another mother. I love that saying.
Oh,
brother
yeah.
from another mother. Isn't that a cool? That's awesome. So let's answer this. Kind of roll into like final thoughts or something that. Oh, wait. Is there any contact information also? Put it in the private chat. I'll copy and paste it into the comments section, because I know what happens. And you've been on a few different shows. You know what happens. A year from now, a day from now, 2 hours from now, somebody's going to go, what did Erik mean by that? Or what the hell was great Rodd talking about? So leave your contact information so they can get in contact with you, because if they leave comments on the, please support us, subscribe, make comments in the section. But for a specific question, get a hold of Erik, okay? I don't know how good we're going to be. I want to thank the city of Mangum for sponsoring us and putting a studio in the public library to support the school regeneration program. Now, all of that, 20th something ish, and then roll into a close.
Okay, so we talked about it earlier. I think that the AI, the AO,
I got you. Okay.
Being able to fix things, you need to stay on top of that. You need to stay on top of being able to do everything. You need to be able to work with your hands and work with your mind and stay out in front of the AI and the AO. Definitely, because somebody's going to have to be able to fix that. Somebody's going to have to be able to tie things all in to the incoming people and teach them. And as it grows, you grow with it and you be in the front of it rather than learning. That's definitely what I think the young people should do, or the young electricians should do. They should push towards knowledge. Knowledge is power, as they say. And definitely knowledge is power. And with that, I think about entrepreneurship is very important. Even if you're not going to be an entrepreneur, I think you should know about it to some degree. And that's why shows like this are so important, because we get an opportunity to share with people what we do, and they can determine whether they want to do it or not. Or the next time they say, I don't understand why he's so tough, whatever. He's not Donald Trump, or he's not Donald Sterling, or he's not Michael Jordan, people who own big companies. What's the difference? Small company, it's not much of a difference. So you got to give us an opportunity and understand that. And I just thankful for the opportunity to come here and share some things and to learn some too.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Why don't you hang out? Thank you very much. I saw you move, or somebody told me that on the camera, they saw you move towards the green M&Ms, but you resisted. So I really appreciate that. Give everybody a big wave. All your fans, you still got.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to talk to you guys.
Hang out for me. I'll come back and say hi in a second. Let me close it out and get these 362 people on their way, and come back again. Please support us. We've got a big project coming up. We're rolling out some additional sponsorship programs, and this regeneration school project in Mangum is really getting interested. Yeah, we're adding a fifth core. We're creating a pilot program here in Mangum. That's why I moved here from Chicago. One of the reasons. Thank you. It's a long way to go. I mean, it's a 1,000-mile journey. I think I'm on about 8, 9, 10 steps now. Okay. We're moving very well, but I mean, the city is small enough to manage a program like this. It's a school teaches you, not trade school. I'm not high school below, right? School teaches you how to take tests, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion. It doesn't prepare you for life. Along the way, I like the European school system a little bit better, because at least at an earlier age, you start getting guided towards if you're going to be an athlete or a chef or a trade. That's where really a lot of this comes from. Look at Germany and their mold making abilities. I mean, it's generation after generation after generation. That's why you become so good, because it's your life and it's your passion. It's like police officers, or generation after generation, and many trades, same thing. generation after generation. And then that's how you get better. So hang out in the green room for a second.
Okay.
I'll jump in and say howdy. And then we'll, let me close it out. I copied you down, right? Oh, Just very clever on the phone number. I got your number up here.
Okay.
And your contact information. I'll chat with you in about 2 minutes.
Take your time. Thank you. Thank you again.
All right, cool, man. I was that was interesting for me when I first saw it, and because we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and he made a great point. Now everybody's starting to leave. Well, at least let me finish my monologue, folks. Come on, 3:57. I think okay. Hang out. I won't take long, I promise. And then you'll get to see producer Barbie in the outro. Oh, okay. 3:63. Thank you for listening. So we got one thing. As Erik was closing out there, he was talking about entrepreneurs, and I'm so glad. And of course, he knows this, but what I'm so excited about for small business and want it to continue to grow and support people to go after that stuff. The American dream. Can you dream? Those are all part of it. But what I see is a continuing improvement. The more small businesses, why does a small business start? In Erik's and other people's, it's like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I don't have a job now. I need and there's so many entrepreneurs we have that same thing happened. One lady was on the streets. She now owns 9 companies. She has a makeup, wonderful woman, but her and her son lived in the streets for like, I don't know, a little bit of time, like a year-ish. And then it was like, I got to get out of this. Abusive family, all that stuff. But most, I believe, small businesses are started because somebody at a business is saying, man, I can do this a lot better. Or I know how to make this a little different. Or I have this idea and I'm very excited about it. I think there's a market for this. I'm going to create a little business. So that's where innovation comes from. Yes, big businesses, especially back in the day, they created innovation and they created a lot more stuff. But I think today, the biggest power, the biggest motivator, the biggest engine behind inventions and innovation and better work environments and on, are coming from people who said, I can do that better. I can definitely do that better. And I say that because we're Insights and Straight Talk. I'm your host, Rodd Duff. I'm out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.